this parable today about the seed and, of course, the mustard seed are what we call the kingdom parables. They talk to us about the kingdom of God. Now, when we talk about the kingdom of God, we have to understand a few things in order for us to live according to Jesus' teaching on the kingdom. It's not just saying, well, I want to be there. But the kingdom of God is something that is within us, and then it makes demands upon us. So we have this parable about the mustard seed, and they say it's the smallest of all seeds. I don't know. The closest I ever came to a mustard seed was Goulden's. So I don't know, but we're going to take Jesus' word for it. And then this little seed, it grows and it begins to spread out. And it provides a shade and also provides a place for the birds of the air to nest, to rest. Now, when we look back at the expressions that the Jewish people would use for the Gentiles, they called them the birds. Those birds. I think we say the snowbirds, don't we? But we mean it in a nice way. I don't think that it was very flattering to the non-Jews to be called birds. However, this idea of the birds spoke about the growth of the church. That's why Jesus uses it. So the church then is not just a church for the Jews, but the church is a church for everybody. And that's why the church goes out and spreads over the whole world. So you can see how rich this imagery is. All right. Now, we talked a little while ago about this idea, the kingdom of God. Jesus will say again and again, the kingdom of God is within you. The kingdom of God is within you. And then Jesus will also say that you must go out and preach the kingdom. So there are two things going on here. It's for your personal sanctification. The kingdom is for your personal sanctification. That's what church is about. It's about your personal sanctification. And then the word goes out to all the world and builds the community of Christ throughout the world. Now, some will accept the kingdom and some will reject the kingdom. Some of you might be familiar with St. Augustine. He wrote a book called The City of God. And it was the city of God as opposed to the city of man. And the important thing that Augustine points out and that the Gospels point out is this, that the kingdom of God is not the new world order that we hear about today. It's the true world order. It is ordered according to God's law. And if you want to be part of God's kingdom, the kingdom of God, which is not a physical place, then you have to practice the law of the kingdom. If you don't, then you become part of the other order, the secular order, which is opposed to the order of God. And if you do not accept Jesus Christ and accept the true world order, you put your soul in danger of damnation. So I would recommend, you might want to take a look at Augustine's city of God as opposed to the city of man. Now, I bring this up to you because we are living in a time where people have to make decisions as to what city they are going to live in. Are you living in the city of God, meaning that you're going to practice the teachings of Jesus, or are you willing to compromise yourself and belong to the city of man. You want to be politically correct. You don't want any hassles. You want to skate through life without having any major issues that you have to deal with. We have a lot of people in that secular camp these days. They say that they are Christians. They say that they are believers in Jesus, and yet they're not willing to make a stand for the kingdom of God that is supposed to be within them. So if the kingdom is within you, then you have to act in a certain way. I bring this up because I got a phone call this past week from a lawyer, and he was in a bit of a quandary. He says to me, "Father," he says, "I work for the state. Work for the state. Not this state. Right? Not this state. I work for the state, and they have asked me to process a change of sex for a 17-year-old boy who now claims that he is a girl." He said the young man has begun his hormonal therapy, and he was adopted by a same-sex couple. He says to me, I don't feel this is right. What can I do? Can I do this? Can I do this?" Okay, just hold on to that. Yeah? You would be surprised the phone calls I get. I'm very serious. Doctors and lawyers, we have a lot of people that are struggling with a lot of issues, and they want to do the right thing. We have a lot of people that are very saintly people out there. We don't always appreciate the struggles that the medical community goes through or the legal community goes through, those that are trying to practice their faith, to live according to the kingdom of God that is within them. Okay. Some of you, I'm sure, have been reading about a case that took place in Virginia, Loudoun County, Virginia. There was a gym teacher who refused to call a boy by a female name and use female pronouns. He was dismissed by the school board because they said our school is diverse and inclusive. And he said, "But I can't lie to my students because a boy can't become a girl and a girl can't become a boy." And he says more than that. He says, "I can't go against God's creation. God created them male and female." Went to court. Well, court didn't decide on religious issues. That's going to come someday down the line. But they did say that this gym teacher's right of free speech superseded the right of the school to quelch free speech. So they ruled in favor of free speech, which is a higher standard than preventing somebody from exercising free speech. Right? So as of now, the gym teacher has been reinstated. But you see, here's a man that took a stand, and he ended up, practically losing his job. And there are other people that are going to risk their jobs. They're going to risk a lot of the things that they felt important in their life, especially regarding their civic responsibilities, the communities that they live in. Now, what about this lawyer? Believe me when I tell you, I try to find every angle I can to prevent somebody from doing something which is going to be painful for them or for their families. In this case, this young man told me that if he refuses to process this, he'll lose his job. Then he says to me, not only will I lose my job, he says, but I have 4 children, and I need the insurance. Can I process this court order to change this boy's name to a girl? And I said to him, how do you feel about doing it? He says, I feel sick. Sometimes your gut tells you what the right thing to do is. I told him, we can never take part or promote something that is wrong. But it takes a unique person, a devout Christian, to say, this is where I stand and I can do no other. At the end of the conversation, he says to me, Father, I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. This is not of God. This is the society that we live in today. A lot of you might think that, well, it's easy to be a Christian. Just go to church on Sunday. Maybe for some of us, we're retired. We're not fighting the battles of the world anymore. But there are people out there who are struggling, who are trying to live out their commitment to the kingdom of God. I want you to pray for those people that are out there trying to do the right thing, risking their jobs, in some ways even risking the security of their families. But that's what it means to be a Christian. The early Christians were persecuted for their faith. Why? They challenged the society in which they lived. They challenged the Roman society. They said no. They were not going to worship the emperor. They were not going to eat meat sacrificed to idols. For many of them, it cost them jobs, reputation, friends. And we know for some of them, it even cost them their lives. So you decide now, which kingdom do you belong to? Which city do you live in? The city of God, which is demanding, or the secular city, which tries to draw all of us in and makes us think that we are God. And that is the ultimate sin. It is idolatry. When man says, I'm God, I can make you a boy, I can make you a girl, I could make you whatever I want to make you. That's idolatry. And that's the world we're living in today. The secular city, where man believes he is God. So today I ask you, where do you stand? And I want you to pray for those people who are trying to live out their commitment to the kingdom of Jesus Christ. God love you.